From Mortal to Divine, a Cultivation Epic, Episode 10. Dad, is this thing really as precious as you said? After Chen Lagu and Chen Xiaobian obtained a few items in the Blood Quartz tomb, they filled up the stolen hole and prepared to go down the mountain back home. You don't understand. This knife already has a blade spirit in it. It's a sinister tool. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so afraid of it. Chen Lagu looked affectionately at the dagger in his hand while explaining to Chen Xiaobian. This dagger is a menacing object with a blade spirit. In ancient times, those who forged weapons were like wizards. It took several years to forge a good weapon. Chen Lagu said that in ancient times, crafting a good weapon was not like the mass production in factories today. It required years of hard work and was a process akin to performing some mysterious ceremony. A skilled weapon forger would use human blood to quench the weapon, filling it with an aura of ferocity from the beginning. Some might even use living sacrifices during the weapon's forging to imbue it with a spirit. This dagger is like that, and it was at least quenched with human blood. Chen Lagu saw that the dagger sparkled with a chilling light as soon as it was drawn. Analyzing, he concluded that this dagger had become a sinister tool during forging, and perhaps it had even taken a life, giving rise to the blade spirit that made Chen Xiaobian, who had a weak yin constitution, feel fearful. Dad, tell me in detail. I also had such a sinister weapon before, and I finally subdued it. I leave it to you now. After listening to his old man's story, Chen Xiaobian became interested in the dagger. He pestered Chen Lagu to tell him how his father had subdued the sinister weapon back then. Around 7 or 8 years ago, when Chen Xiaobian was still young, Chen Lagu and the soul hook bird dealt with a gray family demon beast on a desolate mountain at night. That thing was very cunning. After being chased to the desolate mountain, it burrowed into a pile of rocks and refused to come out. The night owl was getting anxious. A wing landed on the pile of rocks, guarding the gray family demon beast. However, this was a passive method, and time wasn't on their side. But then, a coffin nail with a barbed tip flew into the crevice of the pile of rocks like a bullet, piercing the creature's body. Following the old routine, the red mouse pill goes to me, the gray god's tail and the body go to you. It turned out that Chen Lagu seized the opportunity and acted promptly. The coffin nail itself belonged to Yin and had an exorcising effect, immediately ending the life of the gray family demon beast. Chen Lagu took the red mouse pill from the demon beast's body and put it in his bag of treasures. The night owl flew up and swallowed the entire creature's body. Just as they were about to leave separately, Chen Lagu suddenly heard the night owl scream in midair. He saw it fly back toward him, then flap its wings and fly in another direction. Chen Lagu knew that the soul hook bird must have discovered something. He quickly turned around and followed. When the night owl stopped on a large tree branch, Chen Lagu quickly caught up, however. After clearly seeing the situation in front of him, he was stunned. In the clearing behind a small grove, a man in his 30s was kneeling, seemingly attempting suicide. At this moment, the man was gripping a gleaming sharp knife, stabbing it towards his own throat. However, Chen Lagu quickly noticed that the man's gaze was vacant, and his expression was dull, indicating that his mind was under control. Chen Lagu couldn't reach in time. With a thought, he swung his right hand, and a barbed coffin nail, accompanied by a whistling sound, hit the short knife in the man's hand, making a loud sound. The short knife was hit and immediately rolled, bouncing about 7 or 8 meters away and landing with a clang on the ground. As the short knife slipped from his hand, the man regained his senses. However, when he discovered the knife wounds covering his body, he was either in pain or terrified, suddenly breaking into a cold sweat. "Young man, what happened? I don't know." Chen Lagu approached and patted the man's shoulder, asking him about what happened. but the man clearly hadn't recovered from the shock. I'm trying to remember. Just now. It hurts, stuttering and unable to articulate clearly. After a while, he finally realized what had happened. However, the ensuing pain made him exclaim several times, "Young man, you were possessed just now. How could I be like this?" Chen Lago hurriedly took out the wound medicine he carried with him and began to bandage the man. I remember now. It's all because of that terrifying blood-sucking knife. At this point, the man remembered his experience and began to explain it to Chen Lago. Hearing that the issue was related to the short knife, Chen Lago glanced at the knife and found that it was indeed a sinister object with an aura of killing. "Young man, tell me about that knife." It's my fault. I didn't listen to Old Bull's advice." The young man sensed that Chen Lago was no ordinary person and began to narrate the story to him. "Uncle Bull, what are you doing here? Are you also going into the city?" "Yes, I'm going into the city to sell some things." It turned out that this man was named Wang Jun. Over 10 days ago, he was riding a motorcycle, planning to go to town for some business. Suddenly, on the roadside, he saw the old bull from the village sitting on a stone, waiting for the little public bus to the city. "Sell things? What are you selling?" "A knife. Dug up from the vegetable cellar some time ago. Don't know if anyone wants it." Wang Jun was sociable and liked to get involved in things, so he asked Old Bull what he was going to do in the city. "Knife, Uncle Bull. Let me have a look." "Sure." Hearing that Old Bull was going to sell a knife, Wang Jun immediately became interested. He usually enjoyed handling knives and guns, so upon hearing this, he stopped the motorcycle and insisted on taking a look. Old Bull opened the red cloth package he held, and Wang Jun's eyes widened. Inside was an ancient-looking knife. Despite the dark blade, it looked sharp, sending a shiver down the spine. "You like it? Then I'll give it to you, Uncle Bull. I really like these things. Sell it to me, so you don't have to go to the city." Wang Jun couldn't resist the temptation. He insisted on buying the knife from Old Bull. Although Old Bull didn't specify how much the knife could be sold for, dealing with acquaintances made it awkward to discuss prices, and after some back and forth, Wang Jun decided to buy the knife, saving Old Bull the trouble of going to the city. "I can't take your money. If you like it, just take it." "That won't do. You were planning to sell it, so you must take the money." The two argued on the village road for a long time. In the end, Wang Jun forcefully handed Old Bull 100 yuan, buying the dark ancient knife. "Wang Jun, this sharpened knife has some evil tendencies. Be careful." What was initially a good deal took a turn when Old Bull suddenly remembered something before leaving. He turned around to remind Wang Jun to be cautious with the knife. "When I dug it up, I felt it had an ominous aura. My grandson is scared of it, so I didn't dare bring it home. You be careful too." Old Bull, being of an older age, dug up the knife and found that his grandson and the women at home were frightened when they saw the knife. Worried that the knife might be somewhat evil, being from the same village, he kindly reminded Wang Jun. "It's fine, Uncle Bull. I'm a grown man, not superstitious." "All right, I've said my piece." However, Wang Jun, feeling a bit regretful that Old Bull might have sold him the knife, spoke a few sarcastic words. Not only did he not take it to heart, but he also started looking down on the old man. Wang Jun bid farewell to Old Bull on his motorcycle, feeling ecstatic. The more he thought about the ancient knife, the more he liked it. Forget about not believing in any supernatural things. If there was any ominous aura on the knife, he felt like he had hit the jackpot. In his excitement, Wang Jun unconsciously increased his speed. At this point, the short knife was still hanging from his waist. On that day, an accident was bound to happen. At a turn, due to some loose gravel on the road, Wang Jun's motorcycle skidded. Unable to control the motorcycle, he toppled over, and both he and the motorcycle were thrown out. When Wang Jun got up, he found abrasions on his hands and face. Though not severe, they were not minor either. When he looked to the side, he was immediately stunned. The black and gold short knife had somehow flown out of the bag. It still had his blood on it. It seemed as though the blood had disappeared quickly, as if absorbed by the blade. The radiance on the knife, having absorbed blood, seemed even more dazzling. However, Wang Jun didn't pay much attention to it at that moment. He picked up the knife, wrapped it up, and tied it to the back seat of his motorcycle. Thinking about it, he felt a bit scared. If the knife had stabbed him earlier, it would have been really dangerous. For the rest of the journey, he rode slowly. After a simple treatment in the clinic, he headed home. "Wife, come and see. Look at the treasure I got today." Upon entering the house and seeing his wife, he was so excited that he forgot about the injuries on his body and enthusiastically showed off the ancient knife he had acquired. "Be careful," just as he was about to show the knife to his wife. Somehow, his wife stumbled and was about to fall. Wang Jun instinctively reached out to support her. "Oh no, this is bad." His wife's palm grazed across the blade, and the knife was exceptionally sharp. A large gash, over an inch long, was cut open, and blood immediately gushed out. All right, don't be angry. Throw away that broken thing. Don't let me see it again." His wife had quite a temper and got furious instantly, shouting at him to quickly throw away the knife and never bring it home again. At that moment, the bloodied blade looked even more terrifying. Strangely, not a single drop of blood fell. It was all absorbed by the blade, witnessed by both of them. Wang Jun finally understood. The knife was indeed ominous. Watching the ancient knife absorb blood again, emitting a strange light, Wang Jun no longer dared to keep it at home. However, Wang Jun genuinely liked the ancient knife, and since he had spent 100 yuan on it, he couldn't bring himself to throw it away. So he hid it under a large rock at the entrance of the village. This time, Wang Jun had to travel a night road for a reason. Thinking it would be safe without riding a bike, he took out the knife, bolstering his courage. As he walked through desolate mountains and wild ridges, he couldn't shake off the feeling that something was following him, making his heart race. Wang Jun pulled out the pitch-black ancient knife, gripped it in his hand, and, surprisingly, the feeling of being followed disappeared. Wang Jun secretly rejoiced, thinking that the 100 yuan spent on the knife was not in vain. Although the knife was peculiar, it had a strong killing intent, indeed capable of warding off evil. However, to his surprise, after holding it for a while, Wang Jun felt something strange. He seemed to feel waves of cold air drilling into his body. At that moment, there was only one thought in his mind. The knife wanted blood, and he had to satisfy it. "Tell me, is this an evil knife? Is it trying to harm me? Drink my blood." After this incident, Wang Jun knew nothing more until Chen Lago saved him, and he discovered his body covered in knife wounds. "Is this knife really so sinister? Let me find out." Chen Lago, upon hearing this, had a hunch and couldn't help but develop an interest in the ancient knife. He walked over to the knife. After observing for a while, Chen Lago reached out and grabbed the knife. Sure enough, as soon as he held it, he felt a chilling aura. Chen Lago felt that the short knife was exceptionally heavy, and the waves of killing intent were assaulting his mind. At that moment, he understood. This thing was indeed a treasure. "Old man, you," Chen Lago, being who he was, would not easily be controlled by this murderous weapon. However, he reversed his hand and swung a knife into his own leg, causing Wang Jun to shout in shock. Chen Lago, in turn, forcefully thrust the black ancient knife into his own thigh. Watching blood gush out, the blade was instantly stained red. Chen Lago was ruthless. To make more blood flow, he even rotated the knife in his thigh. Blood poured out, dyeing his trousers red. However, the ancient black knife also drank its fill of blood. Old man, have you also been controlled by this evil knife? Wake up quickly. Wang Jun thought that this seemingly profound old man had fallen under the influence of the ancient knife and cautiously approached to wake up Chen Lagu. Let it drink its fill, and it must be fiercer and more ruthless than it to make it submit. However, upon closer inspection, although Chen Lagu had the ancient knife in his leg, he remained unfazed, even smiling, showing no signs of being controlled. Young man, I'll take this knife. Name your price. No, I'm giving it to you. After all, you saved me. In reality, Chen Lagu knew that to subdue such a murderous weapon, one had to have a killing intent stronger and more ruthless than it. Sir, I can tell you're no ordinary person. Thank you. I'm Ken Lagu from Guanling Village. If you need anything, you can find me. The knife now belonged to Chen Lagu, helping him overcome many crises. So impressive, Dad. You really hit the jackpot. Without spending a penny, everything is in your hands. You understand nothing. I'd rather give money. Dealing with personal favors is even harder, and you, in your childhood, also benefited from it. After old Chen finished talking about the little braid, he mentioned several incidents from his childhood, and it really was thanks to that ancient knife. As it turns out, when Chen Xiaobian was a child, he had a weak constitution and often said there were shadows moving around him. He would often be scared and cry endlessly at night. At that time, Chen Lagu would insert the ancient knife into his bedside. Believe it or not, this ancient knife exudes a strong killing intent. No evil spirits or ghosts dare to approach. As long as the knife is inserted, the little dog can sleep until dawn. Dad, are you sure I'm asleep and not just scared unconscious by that knife? Well, that's not possible. Right, but Chen Xiaobian, from his dad's memories, sensed a different flavor. How did I grow up after all? What have I been through? Thinking back to childhood, with a sharp knife inserted above my head every night, the little dog now feels a bit chilling recalling that scene. Being sentimental, haven't you grown up now too? Dad, do you really want to give me this dagger? Won't you make me stab it into my thigh? Then I'd rather not have it. Look at you being so timid. No need for that. When you go back, I'll perform a soul-calling ceremony for you. This is the taste of a real dad.